No human is illegal. We must base the premise of our discussion tonight on that. I'm going to take this microphone over. No human is illegal. I agree. We have a lot in common here. I see these signs everywhere, and I truly believe that in my heart. We have world issues now. And migration for economic opportunity is not just a United States and Mexico issue or a Canadian issue. It is a world issue. And it's because the rich keep getting richer and corporations keep expanding, and the wealthy get wealthy. And unfortunately, many people feel that opportunities are not provided to those who are not part of the elite. And we certainly need to address that. No human is illegal. However, the actions and behaviors of humans can be deemed illegal based on laws of God and society. We are all descendants of enemies. Anyone who denies that is in a deep state of denial, and unfortunately is going to cloud their understanding of this issue. We all migrated from Europe, other parts of the world, to start new life in this great country. Today, America still should be the land of opportunity and freedom. Every year, though, we continue to welcome legal immigrants from all over the globe, many of whom, and I hope you can read this with me. Can everyone see that already? All right? Okay. I also want to warn you that tonight there will be some very graphic visuals from the border, so I'm going to warn you ahead of time. Many of these folks have become a great asset to our economy, become dedicated leaders in our communities, and have worked hard to adapt to our language and traditions. Unfortunately, the positive impact of our country's legal immigrants has been overshadowed for many years now by the growing problem of illegal immigration and the call for tighter security at our nation's borders. The influx of illegal aliens has put a tremendous strain of limited state and local resources, including our schools, social programs, law enforcement, and prisons. Now, if you notice, we're talking about illegal entry into this country. It's not about any group of people. In 2002, when I started this organization, Border Patrol, with only about 6,000 agents along our southern border, apprehended about 1 million people. In 2002, those million represented about 44 nationalities. 2 years later, we began bringing more attention to the issue. Border Patrol increased their Border Patrol agents. They began noticing an increased problem along our northern border. We caught 1.2 million. 2 years later, though, those 1.2 represented about 70 nationalities. We moved to last year. Border Patrol apprehended a record number of people coming across both our northern and southern border, a record number of people being caught along the northern border, 18,000, which pales in comparison to the 1.375 million that were caught on the southern border, representing people from over 100 nationalities coming across the border. It's clear that while we've been arguing and pandering and calling each other names, and social friction continues to rise in our communities because of the lack of response of our federal government, the world has been paying attention. How many of them may have intentions to cause harm to our nation or to individuals. You can clearly see that in the increase in gang activity and gangs that are made up of people of foreign nationals that have entered this country illegally. So it's a national security issue, and it's a public safety issue. And it's an issue where American citizens have to define what our citizenship means, what it means to be a citizen, what our civic duty is as citizens, and direct our attention to the people who got us into this mess. The governments of the United States of America, and unfortunately at this point, the government of Mexico, who has not provided its citizens economic opportunities, and those responsibilities continue further south and continue across the globe of citizens of other nations, of other nation states who do have borders, who've decided that because of the oppression, the economic repression, and the inability to feed their families or achieve economic opportunity has caused them to come across our borders. And to even come across many borders to reach the United States, which can mean only one thing. The United States is obviously a very desirable destination for many people around the world because of liberty and freedom and economic opportunity, and our culture, which is predicated upon the rule of law. We have a serious problem. It is a national disgrace beyond anything you can imagine. Now I want to talk quickly about what it means to be a citizen, because I think most Americans, and especially the immigrants, who desire to come to America, take their citizenship and hold it in high esteem. They desire more than anything to achieve liberty, freedom, and pursuit of happiness. Citizen is a person owing loyalty to and entitled by birth or naturalization to the protection of a state or nation. You can't have that protection, and you can't have a state or nation without borders. It's clear that that's what defines countries and nations around the world, on this earth. A citizen is a resident of a city or town, especially one entitled to vote and enjoy other privileges there. Our founding fathers set up a system based on a constitution where our citizenship has not only privilege, but responsibility. Great responsibility. Even a responsibility to hold each other accountable, and especially the responsibility to hold our government representatives, our federal representatives accountable. You have to understand that the Minutemen are not about people coming across the border. The Minutemen are about petitioning for redress of grievances from our government, holding our elected officials accountable for an egregious, deadly, despicable, repugnant violation of human rights along our borders. We want to change in Washington, D.C. We want to change in policy. We want our borders secured. We want our immigration system reformed so that it's not so arduous and oppressive to immigrants. Streamline it. Welcome people from all over the world to this country. Welcome them and have a respectful way that they can come in, protect them at our borders so that they can enter this country with dignity. Our citizenship means that we have that responsibility. Our civic duty is to say no more to our elected officials. We are not going to stand for this anymore, as I did in 2002 when I bought a small town newspaper in Arizona and declared enough is enough. The citizens have petitioned their government. We've testified before Congress. Law enforcement, residents, and other representatives, local representatives along the borders felt abandoned by those elitists in Washington, D.C. who said, we know better than you. We understand the problem, but we're not going to protect you. And we're not going to protect the immigrants. So our civic duty comes with our rights. Along with our rights comes our duty to stand up. You know, we have laws, and our foundation of this country was based on the collection of rules imposed by authority, those who gave authority to create those laws. And civilization presupposes respect for the law. The great problem for jurisprudence is to allow freedom while enforcing order. This is about law and order. It's about orderly immigration. It's about ordered society. And that's all we're asking for. An orderly system that protects not only the citizens and the immigrants, but also protects the potential immigrants from being exploited and abused the way they are on our borders. And that abuse does not come at the hands of any U.S. citizen. So why should anyone care about border security and illegal unauthorized immigration? I'm going to take this out because I like to move and talk. It's important. Why should we care about illegal immigrants? After all, a majority of them are only coming here for economic opportunity. Again, because they are not provided those opportunities, especially in the case of Mexico, where we have the most serious problem. I wish that in Mexico and throughout Latin America that citizens had the opportunity to petition for redress of their grievances and to demand economic opportunities. But because of things like a failed free trade agreement known as NAFTA and other agreements, it's destroyed the economies and the workers' rights throughout Latin America and in other areas around the country. Now something must be seriously wrong, again, for citizens to stand up and do something as radical and as extreme taking a lawn chair to the border with a pair of binoculars and a cell phone and saying, we're not going to take it. Now you have to understand that when we took those lawn chairs and binoculars and cell phones to the border, it was as much about observing and reporting suspicious activity to the proper authorities. But more importantly, what we were going to do and what we've achieved was to expose the incompetency and dereliction of duty on behalf of our elected officials in Washington, D.C. It was to embarrass them and to show you, America, about the tragedies that are taking place in our border.